No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for October 12th, 2022. AEW debuting in the country of Canada, in Toronto, Canada. We kicked off the show with a debut. Renee Paquette, formerly Renee Young, officially All Elite. I guess with Jon Moxley signing that 5-year extension, it was only a matter of time before Renee made her way into AEW. She introduced Christian Cage. And by the way, shout outs to the early birds who showed up early in the chat room. Ken terminates DQ, Nick Lavin, Darren G, Randy Engel, Calvin Bowman, Steve-O, Joey Perez. I appreciate you all very much for tuning in early tonight. Very much appreciated. Renee Paquette introduced Christian Cage, asked him, how does it feel to be back in Toronto, Ontario, Canada? Christian said it's great. He said he was guaranteeing a victory, just like it's a guarantee that the Maple Leafs will lose in the first round of the playoffs. Ouch. Christian Cage with that old cheap heat. And then we had Luchasaurus coming down to the ring for his match against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Jungle Boy's back was all taped up. Jungle Boy went right after Luchasaurus, got the early advantage, and even had time to mock Christian's taunt, doing the looking out into the crowd. And Luchasaurus then caught him, delivered a German suplex. Then Luchasaurus set up a table on the outside of the ring. He threw Jungle Boy back around ringside and then into the ring. Jungle Boy started to make a comeback, but he was having issues with his back. He got it together, and then he did this crazy sunset flip power bomb coming over the top rope, power bombing Luchasaurus through the table. And at this point, Christian was very concerned. Christian came down to ringside. Luchasaurus did the old cane sit-up. Fight continued, and then Luchasaurus power-bombed Jungle Boy into the corner, hit a choke slam. Jungle Boy kicked out of that. And then you had Jungle Boy coming back, hitting Christian's kill switch, but Luchasaurus kicked out of that. And then Jungle Boy put on the snare trap. Luchasaurus got to the rope, and then Christian was grabbing Luchasaurus's hand to help him stay at the rope. Jungle Boy, stupid baby face, went to the outside towards Christian, and then Luchasaurus took advantage. You had Jungle Boy up on the top. Luchasaurus choke slammed him off and then finished off Jungle Boy to pick up the 1-2-3 victory. Match was very good, although I'm not a fan, as you guys know, of the stupid baby face. Christian Cage providing the distraction and Jungle Boy taking his eye off his opponent, getting outsmarted by the heels. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says Wardlow versus Luchasaurus soon. RIP Angela Lansbury. I would love to see Wardlow versus Luchasaurus for the TNT title. And yes, RIP Angela Lansbury. And I remember in the 90s, Murder, She Wrote. If you were a wrestling fan in the 1990s, you at least caught the last couple of minutes of Murder, She Wrote. It might not have been your cup of tea. If you're a young male wrestling fan, you're probably not watching Murder, She Wrote, but you definitely knew that song if you were a fan of Monday Night Raw in the 1990s. We had a little backstage segment with Matt Hardy and Private Party confronting the Firm and Stokely Hathaway. Ethan Page challenged Isaiah Cassidy to a match. I guess the contracts of Private Party will be on the line, but if Ethan Page wins, they will also own the contract of Matt Hardy. So yeah, you'll have to tune into Rampage to see what happens with that. We had QT Marshall in the ring with the Factory. He was making fun of Wardlow, and that led to Wardlow coming to the ring, Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Tag team match here. QT threw Aaron Solo at Joe as a distraction, but did not really work out. And this was basically a squash match. You had Nick Camarado getting a little bit of offense, but not much. And very quickly, Wardlow hit a swanton off the top. Samoa Joe choked out Camarado, and the good guys picked up the W. Afterwards, Brian Cage's new group, the Embassy, or maybe they've been around for a while, Ring of Honor, I'm not even sure, don't really care. They came down to the ring, wanted to know where FTR was, and that's when, of course, pretty much on cue, FTR showed up. Harwood issued a challenge for Rampage. They're really trying to hype up Rampage here. They had a perfect partner, a perfect 10, and that led to the return of Shawn Spears. And Toronto, Canada was probably the best place for him to return as a babyface, because this was maybe the only city where he would get a huge pop. And he did get a big pop in his home country. He milked it for all it was worth, and they got the match on Rampage, so he'll probably get a good reaction there too. And Aaron Solo got thrown into the ring, and FTR took him out with the big rig. We had Chris Jericho backstage with Tony Schiavone. Said that Daniel Garcia was not returning his calls, but then he turned his attention to Bryan Danielson and said that he is going to be the Lionheart, Chris Jericho, going up against Bryan Danielson. Next up, we had Swerve Strickland going up against Billy Gunn, a.k.a. Daddy Ass. And you had Taz making reference to Corey Graves' reference to Billy Gunn. On Raw, Corey Graves said that Billy Gunn has been moving office furniture as of late. And Taz said, well, that's how Billy Gunn looks so good. When Billy Gunn took off his shirt, dude is 58. He's chiseled like a Greek god. And Taz said it's from all that furniture moving. We had Swerve taken down in the early moments, and Billy was doing a little strip tease to taunt Swerve. Swerve did get the upper hand. He targeted the leg of Daddy Ass. Daddy Ass made a comeback, went for the Faymaster, but Swerve was able to avoid that. Swerve hit the Swerve Stomp, but Daddy Ass kicked out, and then Swerve countered Billy into a pinning combination, grabbed the rope for leverage while the referee was distracted, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory over Billy Gunn. After the match was over, the Acclaim came down, and to cheer up Billy, they were going to do some scissoring, but then Smart Mark Sterling showed up. He was feuding with Wardlow, and I guess now he's feuding with the Acclaimed. He had Tony Nese out there with him, and I guess Smart Mark has trademarked the term scissor me, which means the Acclaimed can no longer do it or say it. The t-shirt sales go to Smart Mark, and then he had Tony Nese scissor him. This is a little bit of a silly storyline in my opinion, but whatever. I mean, Acclaimed is really over, and I guess they got to have Smart Mark do his shtick. Like, I'm not a fan of the Smart Mark gimmick, but whatever. We had MJF cutting a backstage promo. Stokely Hathaway interrupted him, and MJF was not too happy. He sent Stokely away, warned Stokely that he's on the verge of 3 strikes and he's out. So MJF cut this promo talking about how he learned the hard way at an early age that nice guys finish last. Must have been listening to some Green Day. Said that people don't have a goddamn idea of what it's like to be MJF. He has to be the bad guy. And if you don't like it, tough shit, because that's what it takes to become a world champion. I guess he's right. A lot of top guys started off as bad guys. The Rock did. He had to become a bad guy to become the people's champion. Triple H had to become the cerebral assassin to become world champion. So, hey, MJF's got a point. Tony Schiavone brought the world champion Jon Moxley to the ring, and Jon Moxley said it was good to be in Toronto. Talked about how some guys self-destruct under pressure. I wonder if that was a CM Punk reference. He said that being the world champion, you cannot have fear. You cannot have doubt. It's a dirty job. He brought up his challenge for next Tuesday. Dynamite is next Tuesday night in his hometown of Cincinnati. He brought up his opponent, Adam Page, and pretty much right on cue, Adam Page arrived. What did you guys in the chat room think about this promo? Adam Page said that he's been watching Moxley for the past few years, respects him. We saw MJF up in the stands, and Page talked about his struggles, losing the world title, failing to win the trios titles. And he said that his old friends have disappeared, making reference to the Elite. Said he's angry, he's frustrated, and he's still there, though, because he is a man. He keeps coming back because he's a man, and he started punching himself in the face. And he said on Tuesday he's getting his shot, and he will become the next AEW World Champion. Good promo here from Page. He got fired up. Crowd liked when he was punching himself, doing the Mankind bit where he punches himself. I liked it. It was good. Nice little build up for next week. We had Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Judas was played, but then it transitioned into the Lionheart music, I guess, to get Jericho some heat, even though this was Toronto. They exchanged shots early, and the crowd was singing Judas anyways during the match. Danielson hit an avalanche butterfly suplex, applied the label lock. Jericho escaped that, put the walls of Jericho on. But Bryan got out of that, and then Bryan put on the walls of Jericho on Jericho. Jericho got out of that, so they kept exchanging the submissions, and Bryan came off the top but was caught with a code breaker. He was able to kick out of that. Jericho missed the Judas effect, and then the referee got knocked down in the melee of what was going on between these guys. That's when Daddy Magic, who was outside the ring, threw in the Ring of Honor title. Jericho was going to use it, but then Daniel Garcia ran down. Garcia took the title away. Bryan hit Jericho with the running knee, but Swerve, not Swerve Strickland, Daniel Garcia hit Bryan with the Ring of Honor Championship. So Daniel Garcia finally betrays his so-called friend, Bryan Danielson. We thought it was going to happen maybe sooner. They finally pulled the trigger on it. Daniel Garcia is a full-fledged sports entertainer, and Jericho got the win. Afterwards, the Combat Club, Blackpool Combat Club, came down to the ring. Jericho's crew escaped, but Jericho still your Ring of Honor World Champion. And even though this is a prestigious world title, this was not the main event. Moving on here, we had Nyla Rose backstage, and I have not been watching Rampage. Somebody clue me in here. So she has the TBS title. I guess she stole the title from Jade Cargill, the champion, the TBS title. But I thought Jade Cargill was a heel and Nyla Rose is a heel. I don't get it, but whatever. She has the title, 9/10 of the law, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, according to Jose, she stole the title. And then you had Anna Jay challenging Nyla Rose for the title. So is Nyla Rose a babyface? I'm confused. But yeah, or I guess Anna Jay is going to fight Nyla Rose to see who fights Jade Cargill for the TBS title. Whatever. Really made no sense to me, but, you know, I'll go with it. Next up, 9:30, a little bit later than usual, we had Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker versus Toni Storm and Shida, still in the semi-main event position of the show, even though it was a little bit later. It's that last match before the main event. Good match here from the ladies. Britt Baker grabbed Toni Storm's foot from the outside to give Jamie Hayter the advantage, and Britt and Jamie worked together well for a while. Britt got the glove from Rebel, but then Shida attempted to fight back. She got overwhelmed. She got hit with a stomp. Toni Storm broke up the pin, and then Storm hit the Storm Zero on Britt Baker. Shida went for the cover, but Jamie Hayter broke up the pin, and Storm hit a DDT to Jamie Hayter on the outside of the ring. Britt Baker applied the lockjaw to Shida, but Shida escaped, and then they kept countering each other's roll-ups, and Shida finally got the 1-2-3 over Britt Baker. Interesting win here, I guess. Shida getting a little bit of a renewed push, maybe her versus Toni Storm for the interim title, but I figured they would have had Jamie Hayter beat Shida and build up Hayter for a title match, but I guess not yet. I suppose it's going to be Shida versus Toni Storm for the interim title at some point. They're doing the slow term booking here. Maybe Thunder Rosa isn't close to being ready to return yet. But yeah, good match here from them. And then we had the main event. Pac versus Orange Cassidy again for the All-Atlantic Championship. I think this is like their fourth match they've had now. If you count Revolution and the one they had a few weeks ago, and there was another one that I'm forgetting. Maybe their third match. I'm not even sure at this point. But yeah, this was the main event, All-Atlantic Championship. Unfortunately, I really don't care about the title. But they got the main event spot here. Good match here. Cassidy went for the orange punch right away, but missed. Pac put Orange's hands in the pocket, started mocking the kicks, but then Cassidy came out of nowhere with a drop kick, and then Cassidy went for a dive to the outside, but was caught by Pac. Pac hit him with a Falcon Arrow. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit." And then back in the ring, Pac, actually before that, Pac gave Cassidy a tombstone pile driver on the ramp. Cassidy had to roll down the ramp to beat the 10 count. And then he got hit with the brutalizer submission, but Cassidy made a comeback, hit a DDT on the floor. They got back in the ring. Cassidy hit the orange punch, but Pac kicked out of it. And the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Both of them ended up on the apron, and Cassidy hit the beach break on the apron. They got back in the ring. Pac hit the brutalizer, or put on the brutalizer, but Cassidy was able to get to the rope. Pac's ear was all busted open. He went to grab the timekeeper's hammer, but Danhausen stopped him. Danhausen cursed Pac, and then he got punched out. Danhausen did. Pac grabbed another hammer as the referee was trying to stop him. And then Pac was going to use it, but Orange Cassidy hit him with another punch. Cassidy had the hammer, was going to use it, but then gave it back to the referee. And then Pac rolled up Cassidy. Cassidy kicked out. Cassidy hit 2 more orange punches and scored the 1-2-3 victory over Pac to win the All-Atlantic Championship, which it does make sense because Pac and the Lucha Brothers are the Trios champions. Might as well get the All-Atlantic title off of him. Match was good. I mean, I just wish I cared more about the title. They had a big celebration afterwards. Confetti. That got confetti, but other title changes. It's interesting how certain title changes get confetti and others don't. But yeah, Orange Cassidy's first championship in AEW. Good for him, I suppose. You had the best friends. They did the big hug. Fans get the happy ending, and that was Dynamite. Show was solid. Not great, but plenty of good wrestling on the show. We got a title change. Renee Paquette's in the company. We had a few noteworthy things on the show. I'm going to give it a B-. Did not blow me away. Crowd was good. Toronto. Solid crowd. Solid show. B-. Some build-up. Some of it was more build-up towards next week where they got the big title match on Tuesday. But I did enjoy the show. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate it. Says, what chant and holy shit are way too overused chants. Not everything is a holy shit moment. Also, say yes to no DQ. Like and share. Hashtag stick to my shtick. Yeah, and they did chant holy shit a couple of times on the show, and they did chant this is awesome like 3 times. And you know what? This was their first show. So they were very excited to get some AEW action, and you can do like a lot of near falls, and you're pretty much guaranteed a "This is awesome" chant from an AEW crowd. I mean, it's easy. There's little gimmicks you can do, like the Tower of Doom spot always gets a big reaction. And there's other gimmicks that pretty much always get great crowd reactions. The big dives to the outside, lots of near falls. Toronto got a fun show, so I'm happy for them. So that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. No DQ review was last night, so if you missed it, check it out on the YouTube channel. It is available on demand if you missed it. And then I will be back Friday night to talk about SmackDown. Enjoy the show, everybody. Take care. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. See you all next time.